I live in Keighley with my husband Peter. We do have a lovely life. Unfortunately, at the moment, Peter's suffering with dementia and life can be quite up and down. Peter's been struggling for the last 12 months and we've been having mental health care. The day he was admitted, he spoke to the mental health nurse and said that he had very bad thoughts and he was reconciled to having to go into the mental health unit. The diagnosis then was what they call dementia with Lewy bodies. Peter will get worse.
My husband has got Alzheimer's. Pre-COVID, David went to one of the local care homes because he liked to do a lot of wandering, so there was nowhere for him to go really. So to make sure he was safe. So then we had to see about permanent. He was supposed to go in there for about 4 weeks for an assessment for a care home. And during that time, everything went on lockdown and David got COVID while he was in there. They told me he was poorly. I think it was on a Monday. They didn't know what it was. By Tuesday, he was in bed all day. Then Thursday morning, about 7:15, I got a phone call from Airedale saying that David had been admitted and he was really, really ill. Oh, how do you do this? They said he wouldn't be able to cope with the ventilation, so they were just giving him as much oxygen as they could. Then on the Monday, I got a phone call from one of the doctors asking him whether they'd considered palliative care, which was a massive shock. We basically decided that it would be better just to reduce the oxygen and just let him go. Thursday, he was on less oxygen. Friday, he was on none at all. And I thought, you little buggy, you've put me through all that.
My wife has got dementia. She's actually in a care home. I haven't seen her for 11 months. Before dementia struck, we were just a normal married couple, been together 25 years. We like going on holidays, we just like going shopping. We've got 3 granddaughters, so we just led normal lives. And then Norma just slowly started deteriorating. I could see the difference in her. It was hard, and so after an assessment it was decided that she should go into care. The lockdown then started, and then they told me that they couldn't cope with her needs and they had to move her. Traumatic for me because I didn't know where she was going. I just knew it was a nice home. I'd heard some good reports.
A lot of places, they didn't want him because he'd had COVID. I found Sutton Lodge, and then it was like a few days later, could actually go see him. He didn't have a clue who we were. It was such a shock. He'd lost so much weight. He was just stooped over. He couldn't lift his head up to look at you. He didn't know where he was or who we were. My daughter Nicola, she refused to go again for a while.
We got COVID within the home. I think it was about May time when we got our first resident. Unfortunately, he'd come from the hospital and it was in the time when they didn't test people before they came out. And he developed symptoms about 7 days later. So once it was within the home, it seemed to go through the residents quite rapidly. We had quite a lot of people die at that point, which was really, it was just the worst time really. Obviously there's no visiting at the moment, so we're having to do more of the things that families would do. We're having to sort of hug people, spend more time with people. The masks play a massive part. It comes across as a barrier to us because the people with dementia don't understand why we've got this thing on our face, and quite a few people sometimes try and grab it and pick it off because they don't know why it's there.
Nothing has worked really as regards communication with her. I tried window visits. She'd wave madly at the beginning, but then she just wanted to come out. She wanted me to go in. She couldn't understand why we couldn't get together, and that frustrated her. I tried the Skype, but Norma didn't she couldn't see what was happening.
We're doing a lot more video calls. They can't they see their loved one on the screen and they can't work it out. They sort of maybe look behind the screen, or they're pointing and they just walk off because they can't actually process that information. There was a guy he was dying, and we had to do the final goodbyes with the family on a video. So there were lots of very upsetting moments.
When he was in hospital, he could use Skype. He just looked at the screen. He didn't sort of twig I was there, really. I think he's got used to it now, because I Skype him every week.
I've been to Fiverr Eyes a couple of times. It sounds pathetic. I know she's up on the second floor and she comes to the window now and then. So sometimes I just go and park up and see if I can see her. But I don't go and wave at her because I know what it's like. But it's just nice to see her. It's making me feel close to her, knowing that she's still there, she's fine.
I did manage to see David about 2 or 3 times during the summer in the garden at the home. And we used to take him a bottle of beer. That put a smile on his face. And he used to put his hoodie up with his bottle of beer. David, what do you look like?
There is no word for dementia in the main South Asian languages, so we try to connect dementia with memories so that people can relate to some of the symptoms associated with dementia. Given the fact there's no name for dementia, people associate those behaviours with mental ill health. So the second aspect of that is that there might be things like witchcraft or possession by spirits or demons. From a faith perspective, the older generation tend to be more practicing. So if faith institutions are shut, families are struggling to get information. Pre-COVID, there were lots of support in community centres. We'd encourage people to go and get involved in activities, for example, go out on walks. With COVID and the restrictions, there's not as much help that we can offer. So, for example, we couldn't go with a family to a GP practice to support advocacy. But pre-COVID, we could.
The condition seems to be accelerating. It seems to be getting worse quicker. Things change almost daily.
I go to the dementia meetings and people that have got dementia, they bring in the partners, and I've seen the deterioration in them. And it's horrendous. It is horrendous. But Norma, touch wood, she's been okay. She's been level. She hasn't deteriorated, which I'm glad.
It's unbelievable how much is improved. I suppose I am quite lucky because I haven't come across anybody who's had an upside to anything. Started here about 5 years ago, for people with dementia, so they could actually come somewhere that's normal, in a normal surrounding.
Yeah, well, it is more than just a place to come and drink. It's a place where people come to socialise, meet with their mates. But yeah, there's a dementia group. I mean, they came here to relax and chill out and sort of have a break from it all.
And we do have a laugh. We don't go and sit there and worry and moan about how our other halves are doing. We actually have a laugh, and that's been good for me.
It is a support group. There are people there in my situation who have partners or people with dementia, so they go for the support. Peter comes with me. Is good for both of us, I think, because you're not alone. Things like that do help him. They make him aware of other things going on apart from the nasty things in his head all the time.
David has now improved so much that you can actually have a little bit of a conversation, well, slightly.
The positives from this was emotionally, the staff became stronger. We got a really good team of people.
I'm very hopeful that the vaccine will work and that it will release some of the restrictions.
She's a happy person, is Norma. She's always laughing. She'll have a dance, there's music on, and she was doing this, so that eased me up a little bit. And the reports I'm getting, I'm happy with what's happening. For the new year and going forward, I want to be able to go and visit her again and physically, cuddle her.
I didn't know what to expect. She recognised me, which was my main fear, that she wasn't going to recognise me, but she did. She was a bit emotional, but I talked about things that we used to do, like going to Cliff Castle, and her face lit up when I said we can go back to Cliff Castle in the future. I was just so happy. No, it was good. It was good.
Here's my lovely staff who've worked throughout the whole of lockdown. Little wave, everyone.